Technically Athletic. This is your boy, Tyler. Psych, just playing. This is Drew here. I'm taking over as host of Technically Athletic. So today we are interviewing the actual host, my husband, the highly anticipated interview. So Tyler, welcome to your own podcast.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you for doing this. It's been a long time. People been asking,
Yeah,
so this is cool. This
it's
is cool.
about time we give them what they want.
Yeah, yeah.
So how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm when it comes to football, I'm a decently like humble person when it comes to talking about myself. So this is interesting. A couple episodes I interviewed Joel, and it just felt like a humble competition. Like who gonna give out the most compliments. So
Mm,
it's cool that today is just like
it's all about you, boo.
yeah.
All right. So, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about like your childhood and what sports you played as a child.
Cool. Well, once again, my name is Tyler Lindsay. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is important to me. I know a lot of people don't care. Like people say where you born don't matter, but to me it matters. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was raised in Prince George's County. My father was in the Air Force. When I was born, my father was in the Air Force, but he is now retired. Um, Growing up, man, I mean, sports was huge. Sports was huge. I pretty much have been playing sports um, since I can remember. I started in regards to organized sports. I played baseball. I started playing baseball at the age of 5, and outside of that, I just been playing, basketball, football. Played that on the street for a long time before doing anything official. So for the most part, it was really baseball up until I played flag football in the 5th grade. Everything else was just outside playing.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about baseball. What age did you start? What's the league you started in?
Yeah, man. I played in my church league, the Front of Heart Baseball League. For those who part of it, like it's kind of legendary. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the people I know that played in that league, went on to play high school sports, and some of us went on to play college. But it was competitive. When I was 5, when I first started playing, my father was my coach. So my father was my first coach. He was hilarious. When I look back on it, at the time he was very serious, but he would do things like he would see a kid playing with a stick, and he just go up to that kid and was like, "Give me that stick," and he just snap it with his leg, like it's like, yo, we fine, So I played t-ball. You put the ball in the tee and everybody get to hit it. I played that from 5 up until I was 8. And what was cool about that, I got to see like our team progressed every year. Like
Mm-hmm.
we went from not winning a single game when I was 5 to when I was 8, like going undefeated. And it was just cool to see that. At that time, even my pops knew that I probably should have been playing football because I used to play pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And at that position, at T-ball, you would have a catcher's mask on, and one time I tagged this person. I swore I tagged this person.
Mm-hmm.
They called the player safe. So my pop was like, next time you tag them, make sure they know. Make sure they know. And I put my elbow into somebody, and he was like, yeah, he probably gonna play football later. But uh, after T-ball, of course, you moved up to pitchers league. Like this league went from 5th grade all the way to like from 5 years old up to
Mm-hmm.
you was in the like 4th grade. It was
Okay.
actually pretty impressive. So I played all the way up to there, and won the championship my first year in Pitcher League. But after that, it was like playoffs. It was cool to be in like intense moments and just like going through competition like that at a young age. But I always got a special place in my heart for that baseball league and just baseball. I never watch it, but I
Mm-hmm.
love the sport for real.
And was your dad your coach throughout that whole time, or did that kind of stopped after T-ball?
Um, yeah, after my pop stopped coaching us after T-ball.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, he taught us important lessons. Like he used to take us out to the baseball field like before the season, after season, work on our game. So think even early then I kind of started developing a work ethic. Like you got to go work when nobody else is working.
Yeah.
And but yeah, in the pitchers league, is shout out to brother Neil. He ain't never gonna watch it. But shout out to brother Neil. He was my coach the whole time,
Mm.
and got to play with my brother.
Oh
That was
wow.
the only time I got to play with my brother,
Yeah.
and that was always cool. But yeah, it was good days. Like anytime I see somebody from that league and stuff, it's good conversation, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we've all probably had a dad coach at one point. But as far as basketball, when did you start that? Or did you ever play in a league or
Yeah, up until I never played organized basketball till 8th grade. Like until then, I was being basketball camps, or you know, just play pickup on the street, or I would play out at my friend Sammy. I would play at Sammy's house,
mhm.
play basketball. But I, no, I didn't even try out until 8th grade. Like,
That's
I-
very random. Eighth
yeah,
grade is a random a grade to start playing any sport, but
well, it's like I always knew I could ball. So okay, here's the thing. Up until then, I would do this thing called intramural basketball in
mhm.
middle school. So um, in the winter, the high school basketball team in my school, Grace Brethren, they would the players from the team would have their own teams. They would run a league, intramural basketball league. And so I was playing like intramural basketball in
Mhm.
6th and 7th grade, but I didn't that still felt like, I mean, it was like game situations, but it just still felt fun to me. Like it didn't
Okay.
feel serious. I didn't play like for the school until I didn't try out for the school till 8th grade.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what we are all here for. What about football? When did you start? You said you started playing tag in 5th grade?
I started playing flag football
Flag football.
in the spring of 5th grade. Yeah. Um, Shout out to my boy Sammy, because growing up, Sammy like I've known him the longest out of anybody outside of
Mhm.
my family.
Okay.
So it was back then. It was like whatever Sammy doing, like I'm doing it. So
Okay.
um, I heard he was playing flag football, and I don't know why I didn't do it the year before, but the next year I was like, well, I'm gonna play flag football. Now we weren't on the same team, I think, because their team was already loaded. But yeah, so I ended up signing up, and I was a dog. I don't mean to say this, like you know, it was my first time playing organized football and stuff, but like
Mhm. What does a dog mean?
I
Like in
was
flag football. What does being a dog look like?
you give me the ball, I'm pretty much going to make a play. Like I'm going to score. This like I'm not one of them players where we got to make sure he touched the ball one time just to make his parents happy. Like no,
Gotcha.
give me the ball.
That
You know what I'm
wasn't you.
saying? No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. But honestly, real to it, I'm gonna rewind real quick. Before that, I want to give a shout out to Coach Joseph, if he ever sees this. So really, like I really got good at football. Of course, playing on the street, but every summer I would go to Coach Joseph's camp. He used to coach. Ironically, he used to be the head football coach at Bishop McNamara,
Oh
and
wow.
I used to go to the Bishop McNamara's football camp every summer. And even when he left and ran the camps, I would go every summer. Just like that really helped me just work on my game and just be competitive all the time.
Mhm.
I always look forward to going there because it seemed like the kids who was also loved the game just as much as me would go, and it was like everybody would have a team. You compete all throughout the week, going to playoffs, championship, and all that type of stuff. So that really like I feel like that really molded like the type of person, type of player that I was. Yeah, and so when I went to flag football, I just felt like I could I could just play. You know, I just knew I was going to be able to step on the field and just
Produce.
yes, yeah.
And when did you start playing tackle football?
The next year. So the next year after I played flag, um, my boy Sammy, his father found out about the Clinton Eagles,
Mm,
and I mean, as you probably know, I'm a big Eagles fan. So
right,
when my pops heard about Clinton Eagles, he was like, "I gotta sign him up,"
right,
and it was so funny because my mom's didn't want me to play,
right.
so it took a lot. I don't want to say convincing, but
Mm,
the rules the rules she put in for me to play was like pretty much you got to be on point outside of football um to be able to step on the field. So it was that was like a very, I guess at the time it felt stressful,
mm-hmm.
but once I got into it, like it was cool. But that was a very stressful time, like trying to get my mom's on board for me to play. It was a lot. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure it showed your like love and dedication for the sport early on if you were willing to go through that. Because I know there were some things when I was younger that I I just wouldn't. I'm like, okay, well, guess that's not happening.
Yeah, I also learned from my shout out to my brother, but I learned a lot. My brother is he was a big basketball player, and so being the oldest, he kind of like took the lumps for me. So I just noticed like in his grades went down, he wasn't playing as much. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I really want to play. So
Lord.
love you, bro. No disrespect.
Oh
I
my goodness.
appreciate my
Well,
brother to the
life
most.
lessons, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what did it look like trying to play football in high school? Was there a high school that you wanted to go to? Were you just going to go to your local like public school? How did that work out for you?
It's so funny because when I finished playing in Southern Maryland, the name changed to Southern Maryland Eagles.
Mhm.
When I got to eighth grade, but when I finished playing in Southern Maryland, I really, really considered like stop, like not playing football.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to say it like I sounded like an old man when I said it, which is ironic. I sound like an old man when I said, but at the time I was like, this sport taking a toll on me. Like
Right.
I
Okay.
was just tired. I really was just tired. I loved playing with my teammates and stuff, but I was tired. I didn't know, what was next. Also because at the time I went to the school I went to didn't have a football team,
Mhm.
and it was looking like I was going to go to high school at that school.
Got it.
But then my football coach at Southern Maryland Eagles, shout out to Coach Stroman, he recommended Bishop McNamara to my parents.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, that was so. It was funny because my parents took a visit to the school without me because
Mm.
at the time I had a basketball game the same day of the visit,
Mhm.
and my parents told me a story. They brought my brother to the visit,
Yeah.
and they thought my brother was one of the recruits. So when he
Oh,
walked in, they was like, "Oh, sir, how you doing?" My brother
yeah.
was like 6 feet, six
Yeah, a
one,
little
6'2", and,
taller.
and he was just like, "Nah, bro, I'm not the guy."
That's so funny.
uh, but
Before you continue on, sorry. Back up a little bit. What position did you play in football at, like with the
Southern,
Clinton Eagles and the Southern
yeah,
Maryland Eagles?
okay. When appreciate that. When I first started playing, I played uh left guard, so I was offensive line, and I played defensive tackle. Those were my first two positions,
Mhm.
and it was funny because that first year, anytime I got a bruise,
Mhm.
I was like, we got to get a pad. I got to get a pad for that like
That
part of
area.
my body. So that year, my first year, I was wearing a rib pad, forearm pads. Like I looked really stupid. And when I look back on it, I was like, forearm pads was dumb. That was probably like the worst decision I made that year. But throughout that year, I got moved to defensive end, and then but I always play offensive line. Like the whole time at Southern Maryland, I played offensive line.
Okay.
I had the chance to move to receiver one time, but apparently I missed that practice. It was like
Oh.
a cold red heat wave. I was like, why are we still practicing?
Yeah.
My mom's was like, we're not going. So I got that. But defensively, I played defensive tackle, defensive end, and then by the time I left, I was playing linebacker. And those were some great days. I played with my boy Sam
Mm-hmm.
during that time. Um, it was great. It was good. It was just cool to see like during those days, like there was no stands, of course, and none of the fields we played. It wasn't like people was in the stands, but those fields
Yeah.
was packed out. Like everybody
Yeah.
was there, so it was dope.
Did you have a favorite position at that time?
Oh, I prefer defensive end for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So, um, you got into McNamara. Do you want to tell us about that process?
Yeah, getting into McNamara, um, I was actually put on a waiting list, which was weird. That was weird for me. I actually, yeah, I was. So I already felt like underdog,
Yeah.
just mentally going in. I felt like underdog. Then when I finally got in, I was like, word. I was hyped. I was hyped for two reasons. For one, I continue to play football, which I guess I decided I was going to keep playing, and then
Mm-hmm.
for two, I was leaving Grace Brother. I just didn't. The school was cool, but everybody else was leaving.
Mm. Yeah, that would do
Yeah,
it.
my boy PJ was going to school in Virginia, and then my boy Sammy was being homeschooled at the time. So I was like, mind you, I had other friends. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but I was like, bruh, everybody seems to be going like
Yeah.
different places. So I was like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. So I got in, man, and right away I heard about football workouts, so I started going, and I felt like right away I felt like this was I was going to be all right.
Okay.
Mind you, nobody knew me,
Right.
and I don't know how it is to other people going to high schools, right? But it seemed like I'd go to the workout, nobody knew. It seemed like everybody knew everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like a common theme throughout the 4 years that I played there. But it seemed like everybody knew everybody else. Everybody was cool with everybody else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it just felt like automatically I'm kind of like already uh not like the awkward person.
Yeah.
That's just what it felt like. But when it came to like playing football, it was still like, all right, felt like I was doing my thing even at those workouts. I remember a time where they let us do reps with the varsity, even
Yeah.
7-on-7, and I was just back there safety, like I ain't know what was going on,
Right.
but somehow I did something,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, I think
Yeah.
I might be able to do something, So
Just to let you know, I can relate to the going to a workout or like your first workout in high school and not knowing anyone, especially with me coming from public school.
mm,
Almost all of my other teammates came from private school, so I can relate there. There you have someone on your side. But so let's see. So through workouts, your freshman year, uh, well, first McNamara. Did they have freshman team, JV, varsity, or was it just JV varsity? How were the teams set up?
yeah, McNamara was JV and varsity, so it was freshman, sophomore, JV, and then juniors and seniors on varsity. Of course, there were a couple sophomores that could play varsity, but
Mm-hmm.
you had to be very legitimate.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what conference was McNamara in, or is McNamara in?
Oh man, McNamara is part of the WCAC, Washington Catholic Athletic Conference.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Uh, any sport really, but it's one of the toughest conferences to play. Just to play a
Yeah.
sport in general is one of the toughest conferences. A lot of players in this conference go to college. There's a couple players in this conference that's in the NFL right now.
Right.
So, and mind you, I knew about the league, but I was very ignorant.
Yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
very ignorant. So like I would, you would hear people's names, but I ain't really attach how good people were.
Yeah.
But I think that was good for me though. I didn't need that. I didn't need to know how good people were at that time.
Right. And what are some of those other well-known teams that's in the WCAC?
Well, DeMatha is probably the most well known. Um, they've had a long tradition of excellence.
Mhm.
Uh, good counsel. Uh, good counsel is home to Stephon Diggs went to good counsel. Kendall Fuller. And St. John's is that's like the school right now. St. John's
Yeah.
is really doing their thing. Basketball wise, you got Gonzaga and Paul the Six. So um,
Right.
it was McNamara was the school. McNamara is the school everybody wants to go to, but the other schools gave out full scholarships.
Mm,
Like other schools gave out full scholarships. You know, everybody would say, "Bro, McNamara was my first choice." But
but
yeah, yeah,
all right. So, you're a freshman, so more than likely, I'm guessing you played JV your freshman year. How was that? What position did you play? Did you start your freshman year? How was that season?
we was terrible. We was terrible, but I learned a lot that season. I'll never forget this one of the practices in training camp. Um, our coach needed players for scout team, and there was like 20. It was a lot of us on the JV team, and our
Mhm.
coach was like, "I need a linebacker," and none of us was moving. So I'm looking around like all of us was trying to play DB.
Mhm.
And then so yeah, our coach looked at us was like, look to the left, to the right. All y'all trying to play DB. There's only 4 DBs on the field. So I ran. I mean, I played linebacker at in Southern Maryland, but I didn't want to. I wanted to play DB, but I was like, I
Right.
just threw myself in there. Um, that was the first. That was one of those things that taught me like, bro, you just got to get in where you fit in, and
Mm.
figure it out from there. If you really love the game, like if you just want to play,
Yeah.
man, just wherever they need you, you go.
Right.
Um, So that year at 115, I was 115. I think I was about 130. I
Oh
probably got up to
wow.
130. I was
Mhm.
playing linebacker that year. I didn't start initially, but the more, um, a couple games in, a couple injuries in, I got to start. I want to give a shout out to Doobie. Doobie, uh, actually, I need you on the podcast, but this is a funny story about freshman year.
Mhm.
The only game I didn't play in was against St. John's. And
Mhm.
it's not because I was terrible. But there was one point where Doobie, your guy brother,
Yeah.
was just out there balling, running people over.
I believe it.
Coach looked at everybody on the sideline trying to figure out who to put in. Normally I looked the coach dead in the eyes. I looked away. I was
Like not
like, I
today.
don't want no parts of that. The freshman year, that was the only game I didn't play in, but I thought I had some good performances. But it was, and I wore number 40, bro. A terrible number.
Interesting.
It was,
Yeah.
you just had to take
40.
what I could get. That was
Yeah. I
terrible.
mean, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Playing team sports. That's a lot of what you do. Now, I have to say, I think we're going to need a shout out tracker on this
Yes.
episode because
Yes.
I feel like shout outs are going to be given
I'm
all
all about
throughout this.
showing love. I know it's
Yeah,
about me, but I want to show some love to people that, you know,
that's beautiful.
impact. So yeah.
That's beautiful. All right. So now we're moving on to your sophomore year. Is there anything
Sophomore.
else you have to say about freshman year?
Freshman year, man, going into that off season, that off season was weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I was very embarrassed to in the weight room,
Okay.
and I feel like I missed a season of like getting bigger and stronger because there was times where like I would just skip bench press. Like
Okay.
I would see my teammates lifting 135 and I just wasn't there yet,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I'm just skip it because I ain't want to hear nothing from people and stuff. But it was like you just got to get better. You just got
Yeah,
to
that
get
was your
stronger. Like, you ain't
time
got no
to.
choice. So that was interesting. We used to have to walk from the school as a group down to the run and shoot. No supervision, by the way. We could have got some serious trouble, but we didn't. We used to walk from the school down to the run and shoot, middle of the winter.
The infamous run and
The
shoot.
infamous run and shoot. You should see like Baby Shaq over there, like a couple and one street ballers used to be a run and shoot. So
mind you, Run and Shoot has changed its name several times
Yeah,
since
yeah,
it was called Run and Shoot, and everybody still refers to it as Run and Shoot.
major.
Yep. All right, sophomore year. Where are we at? We're still JV, or have we made it to varsity? What's going on?
Nah, well, sophomore year, did not make varsity. I didn't think I would, and not because of like the confidence in myself, but the team they had my sophomore
Mm.
year is probably one of the greatest teams ever assembled at that high school. So he was like, "Don't even come to training camp. Y'all just get ready for JV." And but that was like one of the best seasons I've ever had. Shout out to Coach Tomlin.
Mm.
Coach Tomlin is probably one of my favorite coaches. I remember, and I got to play receiver that year.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It is sad because I'm a really good receiver, but I got to play receiver that year. Uh, we was I played about three different positions that year. I was like linebacker, outside linebacker. By the time the season ended, I was back at safety.
Okay.
So I was pretty much just everywhere. But it was cool to just like win some football games
Nice.
because
Yeah, winning feels great.
my freshman year we had one win.
Oh.
So it was cool that we was like 6-3 my sophomore year. And man, we was like those games was lit. Them games was packed. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna use them games was packed. I didn't know it was because Coach Tomlin gave extra credit to the kids that came to the game.
That'll do it.
But I really thought like we was legit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And I had some crazy games. I never forget against Carroll. I had this interception to close, and I couldn't score. My legs were burning, but it's one of the memorable moments in my mind.
Yeah.
Um, that year it really made me feel like I can do this. You know,
So do you feel that having more people in the crowd, especially like at home games, made a difference
oh,
in the team's performance?
so much, so much. It is nothing worse than like 2-3 games in which I learned that real quick. I had to really start finding my own motivation because 2-3 games in, once you see, once they you start taking a couple L's and people
Mm-hmm.
stop coming, you
Mm.
like, boy,
Yeah.
ain't
It's
no
like,
energy.
dang, that went quick.
Exactly. But when the energy is there,
Yeah.
I feel like I fed off of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. And then junior year. Tell me about your junior year season.
going into that season, I felt like I was in competition mode with my teammates.
Okay.
Um, ain't really feel good. It wasn't really a good feeling. Like I just felt like every time I ain't really feel like I was I feel like I was in camaraderie. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was really just out there off season battling. Went through one of the worst workouts I went through hell with Coach Bevel. Shout out, I appreciate you, Coach Bevel. Cause none of the workouts I did in college compared to anything Coach Bevel put me through.
Was
Um,
this off season or during the season?
First in the off season.
Okay.
So first in the off season, we did this like ran the bleachers. First time he ever put me through a bleachers workout,
Mm.
and it's one of those things where I don't know what's going on, and the worst thing for me is when I don't know what's happening. I don't know the structure.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, we just keep running this thing,
Right. Does it
and
ever end?
is it right? And I'm thinking the workout over. Nope. We went out off campus on this street, and we would like backpedal up this
Mm.
hill, all the way up this hill. Then we would backpedal, turn, and sprint, and then we would sprint it. And I'm thinking workout done. Nope. We got to go down to the field, backpedal 100 yards. We did that about twice, and I can't feel my legs after
Wow.
that. Um, so that pushed my limits. But
Mm-hmm.
that off season, I thought I was doing my thing. Like I really did. I was getting in I moved a corner that year.
Okay. We finally made the
Finally
corner.
made it a corner. I moved to corner that all season, and I'm in 7-on-7s. I'm just getting interceptions after interception. Um, really doing my thing. But I also had this weird. I just felt like a weird energy between me and some of my teammates. Like
Okay.
It ain't never really. It just felt like some people, uh, like I said before, when I got the McNamara, I always felt like the odd man out.
Mhm.
I was still kind of felt like that amongst my teammates.
Okay.
Like it seemed like a lot of my teammates, it just seemed like some dudes had like a pack. Like,
Right.
nah, we all trying to play together. And
Yeah.
I was just one of those dudes that uh
You weren't
I
in the
wasn't
pack.
part of that group,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I deserve to be on this field. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I just I just made sure I did everything I was supposed to do. And
Right.
you know, some people looked at that as like, bro, he doing the most. But I just felt like I ain't had no room to like slip up. So I
And
mentally had to get stronger in regards to it was weird because throughout that season, man, we didn't win a game. We
mhm.
did win a game, and part of me feel like, at least for me, like throughout that season, bro, I'm just feel like I'm just like fighting with these dudes just to get on the team, get on the field, and it felt like it wasn't like a lot of love between us.
Right.
It's, at least on the football field, it seemed like we was all cool with each other off the field, but it just didn't seem like there was like that team
Like
camaraderie that we
camaraderie
needed.
and
Also,
support.
and mind you, we also had a young team.
Yeah.
We had like a lot of sophomores on the offensive line and stuff like that. But just from my perspective, it just seemed like for me, I'm like, I was just dealing with every time I turn around, like if I make a mistake, somebody ready to go in to take my spot.
Yeah.
But then it was like somebody else, you cool with your boy, somebody else make a mistake, they just like, it's all good,
It's
bro.
not the same
It's not the
energy.
same. It wasn't the same energy. So I really felt like I dealt with that sophomore year, going, that off season, and just the whole junior year. I got benched. I started first couple games. It was rough.
Mhm.
I got benched like middle of the season, but I ended up, getting my starting spot back. Um, but it
How
was just a lot of anxiety.
yeah. How did you end up getting your spot back? Do you think there was like maybe your attitude towards like going to practice still working, or do you think like was it a situation where somebody messed up and you was able to get your spot back? Like do you
Oh
think
no,
there was like a defining moment or practice that allowed you to get that spot back?
well, for one, I just didn't complain. I really just kept working.
Okay.
Like I just like, all right, I'm gonna just work on my technique, perfect the technique. It wasn't like people couldn't tell me I couldn't play. It was
Right.
just certain times, especially first year on varsity, I just had some like mental mistakes.
Okay.
But also we was like making, we were desperate for a win. We was
Okay.
making major changes in the middle of the season. Like
Okay.
we was moving people that we had people. I ain't called nobody that. We had people that should have been playing linebacker, like
Mhm.
doing work at corner. And it was like, bro, we
Okay.
kind of need you in the box.
Right.
Like as much as I know you might be one to get recruited for a certain position, we need you in the box.
Like this is what we need for this team.
Yeah. And
Right.
so it was like he was just trying to figure out some things, and that's when I got back in. So, and that was one thing my coach told me, is just appreciated that I wasn't like one of them dudes complaining, telling my mama I'm
Right.
benched, and then getting calls from your parents and stuff, or wanting to transfer
Right.
after just getting benched. That was the
Because of
worst.
adversity.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, all the situations that you just spoke through, it sounds like you were very mentally tough when it came to holding your own and like keeping that thought that okay, like I gotta do what I gotta do to get on the field to play this game that I love. Now, where do you think that mental like strength came from?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know, man. I just never wanted to be a complainer. I'm sure I got that from my father, my brother. But I just always wanted to work. Just always put the work in. Um, that's a great question, to be honest with you, because I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know where. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't in me.
okay. I mean, sometimes
It
it's
wasn't
just
in
like
me.
that. All right. Well, I know we're about to talk about your senior year, but I have a quick story about Coach Bevel.
Shout out Coach Bevel, man.
Yeah, shout out Coach Bevel. Very great guy. I told him, I went up to him one day and I said, "Hey, Coach, I'm interested in trying out for football. You gonna let me try out?" He was like, "No." He told me straight up, "No, I will never let you try out." And I was like, "Why not?" And he said, "Because I wouldn't be able to stand to see you pretty much get knocked out." He didn't say that, but that's pretty much what he was alluding to. Like, he was like, "I just can't stomach that." And so with that, it was just like, okay, I respect it. I respect it. But I want to say I asked him junior year going into senior year if I could try out, knowing I wasn't going to try out, but I just always think that was a funny story. Now, let's get into your senior year. How is senior? So, junior year was our where we, what do y'all say, above 500 or whatever? Like, did y'all have a winning record, a losing record?
Junior year, we did not win a game. We was 0-10. It is something that is hard to swallow to this day. The fact that we did not win one game. It
Yeah.
it it truly makes a man out of you though. Like you just be realizing like stuff really ain't that bad.
Mm.
Stuff is not as bad as it seems.
I don't think I will ever know that feeling, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I ever would want to.
You had to learn how to just let some things go, boy. And I feel bad. I really feel bad for that senior class.
Yeah.
Uh, if that year kind of just felt like a pivotal moment in McNamara football sports, like in McNamara
Mm.
football.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like the attitudes changed, the work ethic kind of got worse after that point because it just felt like it just kind of it was weird, man. I hate to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That always
Yeah.
like be irking me. I'd be thinking about it because it'd be nice to see McNamara do something really great
Right.
at this point, but it's be feeling like as long as they like are down, I just feel like, bro, we kind of ignited that, but I can't put that
Yeah.
on me. But
Yeah.
that was weird, bro. It was a weird season.
All right. Well, hopefully on to happier times senior year.
you would think,
Mm-hmm.
man. Senior year, well, going into that year was funny. I was doing a lot of things, right? I was a peer minister at
Okay.
the school.
Mm-hmm.
I was also in band, and I was like getting ready for like college. Like I was part of engineering clubs, and my coach was like trying to make sure that I was committed
Yeah.
to football. On
Yeah.
top of that, we was together.
Yeah.
My coaches always would
And he,
bring that up
yeah.
around me, which I always thought was funny. I ain't never getting in no trouble. I was a 3.5 GPA student. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I never was late. I was never late to a workout, none of that. But they said I was distracted.
I can say for sure that I came second to football. I mean, I probably came second to a lot of things, but for sure football. Like, you would have never thought that we were, by the end of the day, when that bell rang and it was time to go to football practice, Tyler wouldn't even look my way. Like, he had to pass my locker to
To go to
go to
practice.
football practice. But I'm hanging out in my locker with my friends, and he just walked past, and everybody, my teammates, my friends, just looking like, "Is that not your boyfriend? Are y'all still together?" I I was just like, "Yeah, but that's what he does." So I can tell you for sure, he was not distracted, not by me at least. And if he was, I couldn't tell.
Now I remember we had a convo one time. I was like, I just got to put this on hold for the football season. Because they was trying to tell us, like, you need to tell, if y'all want to be fully invested, y'all got to be fully invested.
I was not the problem, y'all. I promise you.
Nah. Nah, but I was ready to ball. Well, going into that year, it was kind of exhausting too because I was trying to go to like camps and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So which I feel like was, at least for me, was a waste of time. Like my best talent ain't really displayed at football camps.
Okay. Okay.
So and then I mean, I was one of the captains that year,
Nice.
and that was tough. That was like one of my first times being a leader. So it was weird. I didn't know when to, at that point, any anything that anything I did that was somewhat of what a leader should do. It just felt like people looking at me like crazy, like
Mhm.
who is this dude, right? So and that kind of felt I felt like that stopped me from doing a lot of things that was needed. I
Okay.
feel like our team, somebody need to yell at these dudes like
Mm.
often.
But you didn't feel like you were that person because of the way that teammates looked at
Yeah,
you.
it was time I was like, practice is not going well,
Yeah.
and I should say something,
Yeah.
but it seemed like I've seen it in the past when somebody say something like eyes
Yeah.
rolling, and it was like,
Right.
if y'all don't respect him, why we vote for you as captain? You know what I'm saying? Why you vote for
Yeah.
him as captain? So that was interesting. Overall, like we had some close games though. Our season, we went 3-6 that year.
Okay.
We had some tough games. For me, it was cool. I started that season. My first two games, I had an interception in the first two games of that season.
Nice.
So I came out on fire for for real. My only problem, I cramped up a lot.
Mm.
I cramped up a lot, yo. Like it seemed like every game, my muscles was just like
Spasming.
spazzing on me. So, but especially in the summer.
Yeah.
In the summer, man, I just had a terrible problem with cramping. Once the fall really hit, like October, then I was good to go. But it was tough. I even ended up playing quarterback that year.
Mm. How was that?
So this is some crazy stories. Okay, this is my I don't
Your
know,
senior year, you
my
played
senior
quarterback.
year. I went into that. They was like, "You're the backup quarterback."
Wow.
Yeah. Um,
What an honor.
and it was funny because the one time my boy Milan, he couldn't play one game, and they ended up putting Jack at quarterback,
Okay.
even though I'm been backup the whole season. They was like, "Jack, you gonna play quarterback?" No faith in me.
Right.
But the one time I played, man, it was against. Of course, every time I played quarterback, it was against the best teams in the conference. So I
Wow.
got put in against good counsel.
Mm.
Stephon Diggs was over at corner, and I almost had a touchdown pass on him. Actually, I almost had two on him.
Mm.
One, both of them was to Jack. Shout out to Jack. I threw a deep ball to him, and
The
I
one
guess,
that was
yeah, yeah.
technically back up.
I threw a deep ball to him one time, and he dove,
Did you catch it?
catches it, hits the
Okay.
ground, the ball come out.
Oh.
So later on in that game, I'll never forget it. It was sprint left, Pittsburgh. It was like trips right, sprint left, Pittsburgh. So it was Pittsburgh is post, two posts.
Gotcha.
So I
I knew
sprint to
that.
the left. I sprint to the left. Oh, sprint to the right. Forgive me, y'all. Trips left, sprint right, Pittsburgh. Okay.
Right.
I sprint out to the right because Stephon Diggs is coming on a corner blitz.
Mm-hmm.
I sprint to the right. I stop. I let that thing rip middle of the field. I see the ball go into Jack's hands, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm about to throw a touchdown against the best team in the conference.
Yeah.
And Jack fumbled at the 1 yard line. I'm
Oh.
not saying this. This is no disrespect against Jack, but
Jack.
Jack fumbled at the one, and I was like, dang, bro. I,
It
I,
was right there, bro. It was
I
right
had two
there.
touchdown passes. Uh, and then of course my last game ever, my senior game, I ended up playing quarterback.
Mm.
I think Milan got a concussion, and
Wow.
I my pops my pops was yelling at me from the side. Now my whole 4 year career, I never listened to my pops. Like if when he
Yeah.
was yelling from the stands, I never turned around.
Right.
All I hear from him is like, "You need to warm up." I'm like, I'm not listening to the dude. But then one of my coaches was like, "Hey, bro, you really might want to warm up."
So
It
did
ain't
you go
looking
into the
good.
game knowing that you was going to play quarterback?
No,
Oh, he got a concussion.
I did
Oh.
like, of course I did like warm ups, but that's because we ain't had nobody else. So I did warm ups,
Mm-hmm.
but I had no intentions. There was no thought of going into that game being a
Playing
quarterback.
quarterback.
Yeah, no, no.
And so how like after you did play quarterback and the game's over, like how did that feel knowing that you ended your season playing a position that you didn't play like pretty
Man,
much
it
ever?
was fun, man. Playing
Okay.
playing quarterback was fun to me because I was like, I'm gonna let this.
You
I'm
just
gonna
gonna
sling
throw it
it.
up?
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw it, man. Like I don't. They know this is not my thing, but
It's like what more can you expect from me?
I'm
Like
gonna let
I'm
this thing
here.
rip.
Wow.
I did throw an interception, but had a couple completions. And
Okay.
I still got to play. They still let me play defense and stuff. So, um, it was cool, and I ended up being it was like third team all conference that year. So
Nice.
that was cool getting that honor.
Yeah,
Um,
congrats on that.
cause I ain't see it coming. I didn't realize, you know, I was respected
Yeah.
like that. So that was cool.
Did you have a most memorable game for like your varsity career?
Ooh, varsity career. Oh, definitely when we played Paul the Six. When we played Paul the Six, we was down like 17. It was
Mhm.
something crazy like that.
Oh wow.
And I
Mhm.
remember we talked about this on Kavan's episode. We scored. So now we down like 10.
Right.
I see Kavan's eyes just bloodshot red. Like
Uh-huh.
he just mad. We kick the ball off. He runs down and knocks out the kick returner.
Oh
And the
wow.
dude fumbles. I pick it up, scored a touchdown. So that was crazy. So now we
Wow.
only down 3. They get the ball back.
Mhm.
I think the next drive we on defense, and I got an interception and
Wow.
ran it down to like the 10-yard line, and then we scored again.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it was a crazy sequence. But shout out to Kavan.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm glad y'all had that moment.
me too, because it wasn't too many moments in high school. But I love them. I love my teammates, man. They're good people.
All right. Now on to some kind of like lighter conversations. Did you have any pregame rituals in high school?
No, I wish I did.
Really?
Um,
None.
bruh, like I don't really know I don't really remember. Oh, my bad. Forgive me. I read Psalms 23 before every game.
Okay.
I read Psalms 23 before every game, and then I would literally say the Lord's Prayer. I think Psalms 23 is the Lord's Prayer.
Child, don't get me lying. Put me on the spot.
Yeah, I would read Psalms before every game. At some point, I read Psalms 23. I ain't had no. I wish I had playlists and stuff, but I
I was
ain't had
about
no
to
money.
say, with you being a big music person, I'm very surprised that you didn't have like an album or, I mean, playlists weren't really a thing back in high school. Not that I know of, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was big on like burning CDs and stuff, like making mixtapes on CD.
Allegedly, or
I, I
whatever.
I would I would get the music offline and stuff like that. But so yeah, my parents got me an iPod Shuffle,
Okay.
right?
That's the one with a screen or without? Was that the.
I had the version with the screen,
Okay.
and I'll never forget this because it really threw me off. I had that throughout the whole off season.
Uh huh.
One day I went into the equipment.
Room.
What's those 10 storage units? What's some storage units called? They
A
making houses
locker.
out of them joints now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what you're
You
talking
know what I'm
about.
talking about.
The storage bins, like
Storage
the.
bin. Yeah, yeah. We had equipment storage bin.
Mhm.
I went in there looking for something. One of them helmets smacked me in the head. Earphones came out. Never found that iPod shuffle. So I never had pregame music. Like for me,
The thing is, that doesn't surprise me.
I
You are
know
infamous for losing
the
things,
helmet
so
smacked me in the head. I'm looking around looking
that
for
actually
that
sounds
jump.
like a movie. But except like in the movie, you would like pass out and I
Yeah.
don't know, be
I
on
would go.
something
I would
stupid.
literally would go back in there like every day after that. For a while, I could not find that iPod shuffle. That
Somebody probably took it.
that really threw off. Like I didn't have no pregame music,
Wow.
no nothing. And there was a lot of games where I'm like, I am just not feeling it today.
Yeah, yeah. It makes a difference.
Yeah, so that's funny.
So high school, did you have game day swag? Like, was there like, I don't even remember what was a thing back then, but like, did you wear any long sleeves? Did you wear like the leggings? Like, or were you just like I'm gonna put on
Yeah.
this uniform and
For me to be a starter, for me to be as good as I was, yeah, no, I had no swag. Um, Anybody will tell you. Like, I ain't even had Nike socks. I look back on it, I'm like, bro, I could at least got a pack of some white Nike socks. And that if I had that, I'd have had confidence. I'd have confidence
a
been
little
through the roof,
something.
just a little something.
Now, this is coming from the basketball world because we will always get like team shoes, team socks. Was that a thing in football? Or was everybody on their own with that?
And for football, it was not a thing. You had to get your own cleats.
Okay.
Um, I mean, they provided like everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Like the pads at
yeah,
least.
like
Okay,
stuff that
cool.
won't get you hurt. So
The
nah,
helmet.
back to me, we did not have team cleats. I never forget one game before the game, like I made these custom cleats on Nike.com.
Okay. That's some swag.
Yeah, but the problem is I ain't break them Jones in.
Oh.
I wore them on game day against Carroll, and boy, my by halftime, bro, I could barely walk, bro. I didn't bring the other pair of cleats. I couldn't switch them joints
Wow.
out. I
Um,
was hurting.
Rookie. But I'm glad you brought up Carol because Carol was a funny game senior year, right? That was at Carol. Was that year when you were the peer minister? So,
Yes, yes, it
speaking of that
was.
game, I was in sports management class, so we had to rotate being like a sports manager in the actual football game. So my game was the Carol game, and this also happened to be a time when Tyler was a peer minister, and he was at what's that thing called?
Kairos.
Kairos, and he was
I was running this retreat for the
yeah.
juniors. Yeah, yeah,
And tell us about your side of that experience.
yeah. So leading up to that week, this was a big game. We win this game, we got a shot at the playoffs.
Okay.
So that's a lot of pressure going into this. But it was also a week I had to go to this retreat during the week to uh be part of Kairos, which is actually a very special moment at the school for anybody who's done it.
Yeah,
And
briefly, just because I know everyone didn't go to like a Catholic school, so briefly, what is a peer minister and what is Kairos?
all right, so pretty much a peer minister, you're seen as one of like the spiritual leaders amongst the students of the school.
Okay.
We do different things like we would mentor. We will all have different freshmen that were our mentors, our
Mentees.
mentees.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the main thing was Kairos.
Okay.
Kairos was a major retreat for the juniors where it was like a time for them to really like get to know themselves better, get to know their classmates. You would go away to this campsite and we would split, they would split you up into groups ran by peer ministers. And throughout that time, each peer minister would give like a speech.
Mm-hmm.
My speech was the same day as the football game.
Dang, how ironic.
Yeah. So mind you, I'm not trying to make a big deal of it, but
Yeah.
the coaches did come up with a plan for what was going to happen. Like, all right, and there was a couple of juniors on the team at the retreat,
Okay.
so they picked us up. The plan was to pick us up. We play the game, come back. Um,
And did that go as
all right,
planned?
so check this. At halftime, the funniest part was halftime. It's a close game. This game was a battle, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it ain't like nobody was backing down from each other.
Right.
Coach Chapman, shout out to Coach Chapman.
Another shout out.
Coach Chapman came into the locker room and he started talking all this. Y'all need to toughen up. Whoop, 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 whoop. And all I hear is, Lindsay, the hell with Kairos. Like, that's all I heard. The hell with Kairos.
That's all I heard too. Outside the door, I was like, "Oop, time for me to leave."
Mind you, ain't nobody throw the ball my way first half.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't like I was part of much action. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't do nothing really to deserve
Right.
this
To
type of
be
yelling.
singled out.
But it is, it is what it is. Came out that second half, made a couple plays. We lost. The score was like, we lost, but it was 7-0 that whole game up until like the last minute of the fourth. So we lost like
Wow.
14-0.
Man. Yeah, that's a battle. I
Yeah,
mean, sounds like good defense was being played.
and then of course, the person that was supposed to take me back to Kairos, he was chilling. We stopped and got some food. He was like, you ain't gonna make it in time for that speech. Rest in peace, Mr. God, love you.
Yes,
but he said you ain't gonna make it in time for that speech. Just take your time. I was like, all right.
Sounds good.